Engwe recently sent me this bike so that I could review it, but the video itself is not sponsored. This is the new Engwe Engine Pro 2.0 all-terrain e-bike. This thing both looks and feels very high quality and it has a lot of great features, but there's one feature in particular that just really makes this bike super enjoyable to ride, and I'll get to that in a minute, but first, let's cover the basics. This is a folding fat tire bike with 20-inch diameter, 4-inch wide tires on solid one-piece wheels, which are super tough. It has 6-inch hydraulic disc brakes in the front and back that provide plenty of stopping power. There's a Shimano 8-speed derailleur on the back, coupled with one large front gear. This is definitely geared for high speeds, but it can easily conquer any hills you want with the assistance of the 1200 watt peak power gear hub motor. This is a very powerful motor, to the extent that I very rarely ever even shift gears because I can just crank up the motor assistance anytime I want to go up a steeper hill without the need to actually switch gears. The motor not only climbs hills, but also allows you to reach a top speed of 20 miles an hour just in throttle mode, or up to 28 miles per hour in pedal assist mode. The battery provides up to 30 miles of range when just running on electric power, which means you're not pedaling at all, and the motor is doing all of the work. Of course, if you are pedaling, that's going to extend the range, which could get you up to 68 miles. And then after that, it's still a bicycle. You can still pedal it. Of course, it is going to be harder to pedal than a normal bike after it runs out of battery, just because this bike is so heavy. When you do receive this bike, there is a little bit of assembly required, but it's pretty simple. You're going to install the seat, the handlebars, the fenders, and the rack on the back. That's pretty much it. Everything just kind of slides together, and there's a few bolts you tighten down that you can do in like 20 minutes. Now, when you do unbox this, pro tip here, there's a ton of zip ties holding together all of the packaging that need to be cut. Don't get those confused with the wiring on the bike. I know that sounds obvious, but I almost made that mistake myself, so don't do that. Also, there's a couple of zip ties on the bike that are supposed to stay on the bike to hold wires in place, so just be really cautious when you're unboxing it not to cut the wrong thing. I didn't, but I almost did, so I thought I would warn you guys of that. There's front fork hydraulic shocks that have lockout and preload adjustment controls, as well as a single rear shock and a set of pretty stiff saddle suspension shocks under the seat. The panel on the handlebars displays the battery level, speed, total mileage, current trip distance, and the motor assist level. And this screen is nice and bright so you can see it even in direct sunlight. When it comes to controlling the motor on this bike, there's a thumb throttle, so you can just directly control the motor speed, but the motor can also be set to a pedal assist mode. And this is the part that I think makes this bike so enjoyable to ride, because it has a really good torque sensor built into the pedals. And what that does is it senses how fast you're pedaling, and then it matches that speed with the motor speed. So the motor is assisting you, but you're still completely in control of the speed of the bike with how fast you're pedaling. And the reason that I like this so much is because it keeps it feeling like a normal biking experience. You're not really thinking about what the motor's doing, you're just pedaling. You're just acting like it's a normal bike, and then the motor is just matching what you're doing. The solid one-piece wheels, the frame, the luggage rack, almost everything on this bike is made out of thick metal parts, which feels really heavy-duty, but that also adds a lot of weight to the bike as well. So you're probably not going to be doing any hardcore mountain biking and going off of jumps or anything like that, just because it's not a very agile bike. but it's a great bike for going down dirt roads, doing some casual trail riding, and obviously it's great on the pavement as well. Now, when it comes to folding up this bike, the handlebars can fold down, and then the latch in the middle allows the entire bike to fold in half. And the pedals can also fold up as well. It's great that it takes up less space when it's folded up, so you can put it in the back of your RV or your car, and it's just more compact. But this thing still weighs over 80 pounds, and having it all folded up does not make it easier to move. Just keep that in mind. The reason that e-bikes fold is for space saving. It's easy to have this misconception that when something folds up, you think that it becomes lighter and easier to move, so you might just be able to pick this up and throw it in the back of your car with one hand. That is not the case. This thing is heavy, and the reason that it folds up is to save space. And it's really cool that it does that, but you need to understand like why a bike folds and what the advantages are. This does have brake lights, as well as headlights and a little horn. All of the cables and wiring run on the outside of the frame, which is pretty standard for an e-bike. It has a really comfortable padded seat, a super sturdy luggage rack on the back, front and back metal fenders, and it has a key which slots in the bottom side of the battery compartment. If you turn the key one direction, it will power on the battery, so you have to have the key in order to turn on the bike. And then if you turn the key in the other direction, it will unlatch the battery so you can actually remove it from the bike. Now, there's no reason you have to ever take the battery out of the bike. You can charge it in the bike just fine and everything, but I have found it useful that it is removable because I live in a cold climate and I keep the bike stored in a non-temperature controlled shop. So the fact that I can take the battery out and store it inside where it's warm is going to reduce wear and tear on the battery from it freezing and stuff during the winter. So that is really nice. This bike is really well designed. I just love the looks of it. It's really high quality, super heavy duty. It feels like a premium bike, and it's just a fun bike to ride. If you want to check it out, there's a link for it in the description below. You can watch some more of my videos over here, and I'll see you in the next one.